It's Movie Time is brought to you by the Gateway Film Center, 1515 North High Street, Columbus, Ohio. Further details and showtimes online at gatewayfilmcenter.org.
The award-winning It's Movie Time is produced by John DeSando. Listen to the shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org.
Now listen, I'm John DeSando.
And I'm Kevin Carr.
But this is...
It's Movie Time!
Kevin, there's a film out called Truth.
Mm-hmm.
It's about one of my former heroes, Dan Rather.
Oh, really?
And,
Okay.
and his producer, I lean a little bit to the left. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And his producer, Mary Mapes,
Mm.
and their downfall.
Yeah?
Now, the name of this is Truth. Kevin, what's the truth?
We don't know. That's the truth. The truth is,
knew you would
nobody
tell the
knows the truth.
Why?
Well, in this day and age with computers, and the ability to make things look like truth that maybe not be truth, it's impossible to determine what is really truth unless you have the actual people and the actual documents in front of you. And that is the overall message. But the story is about them trying to uncover the truth behind President George W. Bush's service record.
Yeah. It's the movie isn't overt, and they're, as liberals, going after the Bush administration and trying to sabotage. But it seems implicit in the bond because of CBS's notorious left-leaning.
Well, yeah.
It would seem that they thought this was going to be a gotcha moment.
Well, and the thing that I found neat about that from the political aspect of it, because it's very easy to go into this and say, this is an overtly political movie.
Right.
And it starts off that way. But it's really more about, at least what I took it as, the way journalism has changed. It's about journalism.
Listen, I agree with you 100%. Every student, journalism student, should see this movie.
Absolutely.
Because the basic rule of checking your sources is violated here.
Yeah.
And they're hoodwinked. These people who are at the top of their game, rather as well, it's a 60 Minutes too, so it's not his usual newscast. But Mary Mapes has just come off of a big win for the Abu Ghraib documentary that they did, and exposing the torture. So she was at the top of her game as well.
Yeah.
And there was one moment that I thought was so perfect in this, Kevin, about what we're talking. She asks him, Mapes, the producer, asks Rather, after everything has fallen apart, why he didn't ask her about her source.
Yeah.
And he said he didn't need to. He had so much, a basic mistake on his part. He didn't take that skepticism that he showed long ago with Nixon and give it to her.
It went all the way up the line. And see, I grew up in an age after the whole Rather Nixon issue. And there was somebody I knew when I was student teaching. There was a guy who, no matter what Dan Rather would do, he always sided with Rather because he said, well, he took on Nixon. So.
I know it, isn't it? That's something I say too.
And that's I think generational. I grew up with Rather as an old man, as kind of having trouble doing his newscasts. And at the time, probably if you looked at the three, Tom Brokaw probably had the most gravitas of the three big. And Rather was always just kind of the batty old dude who did the newscast. So I didn't come to this with the adoration for Rather, which I thought put me in a unique perspective because the movie certainly has it. It's certainly idolized.
Maybe to its fault.
I think so.
Okay.
And they bring in Robert Redford to play him, and nothing against Robert Redford, but Robert Redford was basically playing Robert Redford. I didn't feel like he was doing a transformative.
Listen,
Dan Rather.
It's disorienting alone to see the physical differences in the two men.
Not a whole lot of people know who Mary Mapes looks like, so you can throw Kate Blanchett.
Kate Blanchett, who maybe could be a nomination for her. Do you think?
I think the real star of it was her. I thought she did the best with the role. She was given the meatiest role. She was given the deepest role. And I think she's spectacular in the movie. Redford's just sort of okay as Rather.
You know what? I think Rather caught some of the heft of Dan Rather on camera. Dan was always fairly serious in the camera, and Redford seemed to catch that.
During the interviews, definitely.
Yeah. Now, beyond that, I didn't catch much. Redford. Redford playing Rather. I didn't catch much of Rather outside of that newsroom.
Yeah.
And so I thought that's where because certainly this is an interesting guy. And I remember reading somewhere that the only thing that they really got deep into Dan Mather was that his drinking. They said they got that right. As apparently he did.
Well, yeah. Well, and getting back to the sort of like the core of the movie, it's so easy to make a movie that's a political movie about politics and make it political. To the point that it's impossible to do that, because depending on what side you lean on, the people who agree with you are going to love it, and the people who don't agree with you are going to hate it. But I think this is the kind of movie that the entire political spectrum can get into, simply because it does not rely on whether or not, it doesn't rely on the truth of whether or not George Bush did or did not.
And that's a great point.
Yeah, it's about how journalism works, and if you look at it now online, and the push to get the story out there the quickest, the first, yes, and not necessarily the best, and it doesn't always, it may be true, but to verify it's true is become much harder, and has been much more loosey-goosey now.
Oh yeah, I mean I love the fact that what you're saying is that the big issue here was, did George Bush slack in the National Guard?
Yeah.
And that was not, there was nothing determined about that.
Oh, yeah.
It appears that the documents that they were given, that CBS was given, were forged.
Yeah.
Because of the difference in the type, that they couldn't have, only Microsoft Word could have produced the kind of type.
Yeah.
That they
and the superscript, and there's a lot of the detail there.
Yeah. So it doesn't at all attack the real issue. But what it does is it shows you what happens in high-powered television news.
Yeah.
And the pitfalls, even for the best of them. And as you said, all the way up the line.
Yeah.
They really missed it. Now, some things, they were pushed in a deadline.
Mm-hmm.
The election was coming up.
Oh, yeah.
And they looked like they had a military man who had given them the documentaries, that they could have anyway, and I also liked Dennis Quaid.
He's great.
I love Dennis Quaid in this, I know.
He's
and there's some very fine minor characters in this production. So Kevin,
yes,
people, I'm catching from you that people might enjoy seeing this film regardless of their political inclinations.
Well, I think they will. I think the left is going to like it because it appears to take on George W. Bush, even though it's an irrelevant issue at this point. How many years has he been out of office? Right. But it exposes a certain level of politicism in the news. But the right's also going to love it because the left gets taken down in this movie. Really so I think there's something for everybody, no matter what aisle you vote on.
And we have a terrific performance from Cate Blanchett.
Yes.
And I understand there's another film she's in called Carol. That supposedly she's done a great job. But this is going to be a terrific year for her.
Yeah.
It's a good year for Robert Redford. He's had some roles, so this is maybe not a perfect fit for him. But he does bring, I think, using your word, gravitas to the role, regardless of whether he looks like Dan Rather or not.
Yeah.
And this is the all the President's Men type of stuff. He just eats this for breakfast.
I thought that was neat. That's one of the things. If there was any good reason to have him cast in this, is it has such all the President's Men feel to it. So if you're familiar with that movie, it's just neat to see it generationally very different.
So television news, if you love the inside of it, which I do,
yeah.
If you love the glamour and the hard knocks of it, this is a good film. It's called Truth. Kevin Carr, what grade would you apply?
I'm giving it an A. I really enjoyed it. I was surprised. I thought I was going to think it was terrible. But...
I'm so glad to hear you say that, because I am too. God. All right, Kevin. Let's look forward to some more fine films for the fall.
Absolutely.
Oscar season?
Oh, yeah.